Hi, this is Megan with Goddess Elite, and I'm here on another late night deck review. I'm bringing you a deck this evening that is a trifle controversial. It is designed by somebody who has a reputation in the occult. I'll just say that. And for that reason, there's a lot of people who tend to shy away from his works, from what he does, from what he did. Okay, from what he did. He's passed. And I am going to talk about Aleister Crowley. Okay. Aleister Crowley designed a deck. It's called the Thoth deck. I'll hold the box up for you so that you can get a good view of this. Okay. The Thoth deck is really a brilliant work. It's really a beautiful piece, but I want to talk a little bit about Aleister so that you kind of get an understanding of Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley was a man who lived near the turn of the century. He was, a brilliant numerologist, and he knew Kabbalah. I mean, he knew numerology and Kabbalism like few people do. He could perceive things in numbers, in geometry, and in Kabbalism that few could perceive intellectually. Okay, I'm going to say that, intellectually. There's a number of different ways of seeing and approaching things in occult. One is the understanding intellectually of all the mysteries, of intellectually grasping so much. And then there's grasping with the heart, with the intuition, living the occult, living the reality of the now, and understanding who, what, and why you are, and what you are made of, where you're going, where you've been, where you're going. You remember past lives, you're awake. Okay. Aleister was brilliant in his mind. He was absolutely brilliant. The forces that we deal with in the occult are real. I'm not going to, say that they aren't. They're definitely real. And as such need to be approached with care, not with fear, but with respect. Okay. And with the knowledge, either with somebody who's trained, who knows what they're doing, like, a brilliant shamanistic shaman who knows, who's practiced. Same thing could be said of yogis. You got one of those older yogis in India who have been practicing yoga for 100 years. They know. Okay. But when it comes to practicing cult, what I think happened with Aleister is, in his brilliancy, I think that he went almost what you would consider mad. He established his whole world and doctrine of Thelema. It was a prophecy that he had envisioned, and he wrote a book on that. It's called the Book of Thelema. He wrote several books, 777, which I've read, and the Book of Thelema, which I've read. The Book of Thoth is another one. There's a number of books by Aleister that are out. They're still available. They're still on the market. Brilliant man. If you can wade through those and understand what he's saying, you'll have a good grasp of what's going on. So when it comes to the tarot, though, one needs to understand that all of the images in the tarot stand for archetypes of human experience that exist almost a priori, like almost the Greeks would say, independent of this sphere. They exist in this place in the mind where they're indelible and they're unchanging. these archetypes of human experience. And each of the cards in the tarot represents that card that exists off, somewhere in the ether. So, and how well the artist depicts those things determines how well you can read the deck and the light and the energy that's in the deck and all the rest. But I do want to reiterate what Alistair got involved with. He did a lot. He got involved with a lot of different things and went off in directions, working magic, a lot like the Golden Dawn. It was, some connections with that group, certainly, I have no doubt. And had connections with other groups, secret societies that were doing things at the time. But it's not anything that I think would be considered like dark. I've seen ghost hunters. I know Zach went and stayed in the house, and it was spooky and eerie, and there was negative things in there, and everything else. You can find those things all over the world. In convents and blessed places, you can find those things, especially if you manifest them yourself, which sometimes happens a lot with a lot of people. Okay. Yes, I've read that. And a lot of things. The cards that I'm going to bring you, the deck that I'm going to bring you tonight is the Crowley Toth Tarot. And while, like I said, I think it in its brilliancy, it was almost something that overloaded him and gave him a reputation that was, I think that he also became very, very sequestered later in life. And for that reason was always, this secrecy about him later in life. So anyway, enough on Alistair himself. I want to get onto the deck. It's a beautiful deck. The back is this wonderful cross with these colors, the yellow, red, blue, white, and blue, and a background, which is a geometrical kind of a mandala progression on the back. That's really beautiful. The deck is very light. It is a deck that, it feels neutral to me, neutral to light. Even though people look at the Thoth deck and they think it's dark, it's not as dark as some other decks I've worked with or given reviews on, certainly. This deck is just beautiful, though. There's lots of depth in this deck. Lots of imagery, lots of geometrics, lots of other stuff. And without any further ado, I bring you the Alistair Crowley Toth Tarot. I'm going to start with the Major Arcana. I always start with the Major Arcana. The first card I'm going to bring you is the Fool. The Fool in this card is the Green Man. He has horns. He's not a devil. He has horns. He's the Green Man. He's leaping off towards you in challenge of leaping off with faith and joy into the unknown. And there is so much, and I will say this now, in all of these cards I'm going to show you, there's a lot of symbolism going on that one could, you could easily take a half an hour to 45 minutes to talk about the symbolism in each separate card. There's that much depth of what's going on in this deck. But it's not a dark deck. It's really a wonderful deck. One of the things that's really neat about this deck was it was created at a time in history when we, in the 1930s, 1940s, when we had that wonderful French Renaissance art that was, think of the hood ornaments like the classic hood ornament with the angel, on the front of the Rolls Royce, that flying winged kind of thing. A lot of imagery. It's kind of like that. And this card, the Magician, you can see it. The Magician almost looks like it could be a hood ornament on a card. It's beautiful. Lots of geometrics. You can see lots of lines raying out in this card. Alistair understood geometry very well, and all of his images have that going on. A wonderful magician card. He understood the High Priestess very well. The High Priestess in this card is he understood so well. This card, the High Priestess, is full of light, arms outstretched. Kind of hard to define because she is so in so many places at once. You have almost this implied triple goddess kind of aspect in her persona because of her energy. Look at her headdress. It's just a divine, sweet card, and the imagery in the foreground with the camel and the flowers and the fruit and all those things down there. There's so much that one could say about this, but the light that radiates from these cards is truly amazing. I mean, it's amazing. And I really want you guys to get turned on with this deck. There's people who are just turned off of Aleister Crowley for no damn good reason, I just have to say. And like I said, I work light quite a bit. And yes, you're going to argue with me. There's going to be those of you out there who are going to argue with Megan and say, yeah, he was, involved in a lot of dark stuff. But like I said, I think it was the madness that kind of got to him in the end. In working so much intellectual and seeing things so sharply and clearly and being so brilliant. Sometimes there's these people who are so brilliant, utterly brilliant, that it just drives them insane. And I think that got to Aleister, certainly. So we have the Empress. Another brilliant, beautiful, bold card. The imagery, it's very 1930s, 40s. All the cards have this 1930s, 40s kind of a feel in the art, and it's just beautiful with the swan, the shield, and the moon there in the foreground. Her arms, the way they're circled. It's just a beautiful card. And then we have the Emperor, all in reds and yellows, oranges. People are going to go, red? Oh no, scary color. No, not a scary color. In this instance, it's the passion. It's this relationship almost to the reds and rods, kind of a feeling. Reds as being strong, as being on fire, and being passionate of harnessing that energy in Chakma. Okay, so if we start talking about Kabbalism, Kether, Chakma, Bina, Chesed. So we've got Chakma is the second emanation. It's the first of the masculine Sephiroth. It's the beginning of that lightning strike that it often, you might have seen in the Tree of Life. But it's this wonderful energy that is in Chakma. It's divine energy. So a brilliant man, just really brilliant man. Okay, so the Hierophant. And again, there is so much going on in these cards. I could take 45 minutes easily to do that, but we don't have that kind of time. As much as you'd love to sit and listen to me talk. Okay, admit it. You guys love to sit and listen to Megan talk, right? Okay, so anyway, the Lovers. Lots going on in these cards. Okay. This is one of the best Chariot cards out there. Okay. So we have the Chariot, and it's being pulled not by one, but by four. And there's this division on either side. We have four different animals, and we've got this light and dark imagery. Notice the person riding the chariot is in armor, which I think is a brilliant inclusion in the Chariot card. There's, like I said, there's so much that I could say about sphinxes and the nature of the animals that are drawing the chariot and all the rest. But it is just a wonderful card. The understanding, I mean, if we look at this, just, yeah, I just could go on about these cards forever. Okay. So then we have Justice. A very blue card. Okay. And then we have the Hermit. This is a wonderful Hermit card. Okay. Everybody knows the Hermit is this person who lives alone. I want you to notice this figure. It's kind of hard to see in this card, but I want you to look for him. He's the red figure. It's a red man, and you can see his hair up here is his hair, and his body, extends down here this way, and up this way. The light that explodes from his body, and we have Cerberus in this card. So anybody who wants to look up Cerberus, go ahead. I'm just not going to delve into too much in these, but the geometrics and the light, the patterning and the textures is just, you can see the light, you can feel the light exploding from this card, which is what the Hermit is. It's this knowledge that he has or she has come to, sacred knowledge and the isolation and solitariness of being that is just beyond words. So, beautiful Hermit card. Wheel. Strength. OMG. A beautiful Strength card. Look at that. Look how the lion dwarfs the woman. This idea of, I mean, look at the size of the lion and the size of the woman who tames him. That's just, and the light that she's holding. That look at that horizon above, this divine knowledge and of the strength that she has. Okay, it's just wonderful. The Hanged Man, lots of geometrics in this card. You can see that the Hanged Man in Crowley's card is hanging from an ankh, which I find really interesting, because the ankh is the sacred. There's this tie to it, the Egyptian pantheon as well. But it's really interesting. You got the crossed leg, which is like what you find in the other, in the Rider-Waite. But you've got this idea of the divine and almost an image of crucifixion in there as well. How one can get so enwrapped with servitude that one gives up, goes somewhere negative as well. So let me just say that. Okay. So this one is Death. Okay. It's a wild and crazy death card. But there's light and green growth. It's almost got this feeling of Shiva dancing, doesn't it? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. I think that Alistair might have even had that feeling when he drew this. It's almost like Shiva dancing. Next one we have is Temperance. And of course the Devil. So this is Alistair's Devil card. And there's a lot that you can start to say about this one. The spheres that these people live in, that are at the goat's feet, at the devil's feet, are almost created by themselves in the decisions that they make. And in their trying to, and they're stretching out, and they're living, they're existing in these spheres they've created for themselves. These lies, out of these lies, and that they've either been told, that they've told themselves, or that have been told to them. And I think that's the nature of both of those spheres in some way. Lots going on in these cards. I mean, really a lot. I love this Tower card. The cacophony. I mean, the sheer, like, chaos of this Tower card is just wonderful. Fire breathing out right here. You can see where my finger is pointing, kind of. Down there. But we have this divine eye of light at the top. What you can see over here, it's this understanding, it's almost this understanding that the Tower can teach you something, and that there's something divine that you can pull from the Tower that can help you to understand why you got it in the first place, and what you can do to avoid what it can teach you. Okay? It is really a great card. Okay. Next one, we got the Star. The Moon. A lot of Egyptian things going on there. This is a great Sun card. I mean, nobody could see this and not see the sun in this card. This is a beautiful Sun card. Very radiant. This one is Judgment. Sometimes it's called the Eon. It's this idea of the self-judgment, self-growth. And it's a beautiful card too. There's a lot going on in this card as well, but I just don't have time to get into it too much more. And then the Universe, the world, which is also a brilliant, beautiful, bold card. I'm going to breeze through some of the other cards. You guys know the major arcana really well, or you might not. But I'm just going to give you an idea of what we have. So Wands is fire. So you'll notice we've got reds in here. These are the Court cards. And they're brilliant, beautiful, bold. I mean, these cards are just incredible to work with. I mean, they're just incredible, 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 incredible cards. The Page of Wands. And then going backwards, so we have the 10 and the pip cards are mostly geometrics and the numbers. So he's got this thing of numerology. So you're not going to find lots of imagery. That's huge. You're going to find some, but you're not going to find as much as you will find, like in, say, a Rider-Waite deck. Okay. A lot of these have this beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna go through maybe. Let's take and get into. What do we have here? Discs, coins. So we have this. So we're into coins. Let me see. Yeah, there we go. These are all the Court cards in king. Here we go. Discs, coins, king of coins. Very earthy coloration. Queen. Knight. And then page. Now you're going to see some Kabbalistic kinds of things here. His 10 of coins is really interesting because he did give you a tree of life. And corresponding astrological and Hebraic things, symbols in those cards. So in coins, in the pip cards, there's a lot. Well, I can't say it's just numerology. There's a lot of symbolism going on as well. Let's go and give you an idea of I almost want to just let you go through the cards yourself if you buy them, to see the rest of the deck. There is so much going on in terms of geometrics. This is swords. Ace of Swords. I'm going to let you see this Ace of Swords. It's really a brilliant, beautiful Ace of Swords. Look at the crown on that. Okay. Not going to get too much more. So this is Cups. And you can see how the background has changed. Now we're blue. As far as that goes, Knight of Cups. Okay. And then we have other cups in here. They're a little different, but I think we've gone through pretty much all of the deck. Here's the Ace of Cups to let you just see that. Okay. And okay. So so here's a universal hexagram too that he includes in the deck. It's a very, very powerful universal. It's got a lot of it's a difficult one for some people to work with, but it's still nonetheless a very sacred construct. Okay, so and there you have the Aleister Crowley Thoth deck. It is not, I hope I've convinced you to some extent that this deck is not a dark deck. This deck is created by a very brilliant man who could see a lot more than most individuals are gifted to see. He was like the Albert Einstein of the occult. He could just perceive a lot. So I hope that my review of the Toth Tarot can help open up that door to you so that you can judge it on its own merits and not on the reputation of the man who designed it. Thanks for tuning in for this review. I'm grateful for the patience that you've had in getting through this, but it's a great deck. You guys have to get this deck. Anybody who reads should really get this deck. This is Megan saying goodbye, good night, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.